What's up, guys? It is Rick again. Today we are going to go into a 14-day action plan, and here's the really cool part. We're going to take it day by day to get you started in your wholesaling business. I'm not going to talk about the theory of wholesaling. We are actually going to talk about step by step what you need to do. A little fancy, I did a little bit of a slideshow. Make this a little bit more visual for you so you can break it down. So let me switch my screen over here. And 14-day wholesaling action plan. So this is for people who have already bought into wholesaling and go, Rick, how, if you were to sit right next to me, what would you have me do over the next 14 days? If you can commit to this mindset, it works. Here's the problem though, before I start, a lot of you are gonna try to reverse engineer this. You're just gonna pick little pieces. If I tell you to get 100 leads, you're gonna go get 20 leads. I tell you to make 100 phone calls, you're gonna make 5. If you take that mentality, if you take the goggles that made you broke, that made you upset and miserable in your current life or job, you're going to have the same results in wholesaling. You are going to have to make a huge mind shift. So I want you to take this plan literally. Some of you guys are going to vary a little bit, but understand the action part of it. If you do not take a massive amount of action, nothing will change in wholesaling. And honestly, to me, it's the biggest problem with wholesaling. It's really not the gurus and the coaches, and yeah, they'll take your money. Don't get me wrong. My freewholesaling.com is probably a $30,000 course compared to all the other courses I've seen out there. And I give it to you for free. The real problem is you guys don't take action because you're not all the way in. And I don't know how to make you commit to that. So let's talk about the 14-day action plan and let's make this work. So day one, I'm just gonna we're gonna go through this quickly because I'd rather do the one-on-ones in this, but we have to have teachable moments, okay? So guys, the ones that are waiting, hold tight, I promise I'll get to you. So on day one, you gotta work on finding cash buyers, okay? Rick, how do I do that? It's so freaking simple. Now, most of this is gonna be in freewholesaling.com, but finding cash buyers is you gotta find places where cash buyers want to buy properties. So you have got to find the best areas for wholesaling. Rick, how do I find the best areas for wholesaling? Here's the little clue. I had no idea how to do this when I started. Do you know how I found the best areas other than the place I lived? Let's face it. Like, I started in Port St. Lucie because I was living in the area and I just started investing. So I did not have this type of structure when I started. Knowing what I know today, I probably would have researched markets a little bit better. I would have paid some money and I could have really struck gold. But most of you do this by proximity of where you live, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with it. But in today's digital age, with everything going on the way we're connecting right now, you have the ability to go anywhere you want, not only in the United States, in the world. Do you know there's people investing in the United States right now in all the major continents across the country? It's insane. I've seen people from Japan, Africa, the Middle East, you name it, Europe. They're all in our backyards. Why? Because you're in a digital world. So if they can jump around, then you can go to any market you want. I will always tell to do your local market, but here's the best way to find out what cash buyers want to buy. You got to talk to them. So keep in mind this, that your product is your motivated seller and your customer is the cash buyer. I don't know why nobody talks about this in wholesaling. So a good business goes out and find what their customers want. So reach out to cash buyers. It's real simple. You just look for rent ads. You go on Facebook groups, Craigslist, anything like that, and you find groups where cash buyers are hunting for properties. In the old days, I used to have to drive neighborhoods. I had to work with realtors and I had to look for rent ad signs. Now you can go online and find them all on Zillow, Craigslist, Facebook, you name it. Now, why for rent ad? Think about this. If somebody's renting, that means they're most likely a cash buyer and they want to buy more properties. So find out what their buy box is and their criteria and get it. The goal is to get 10 cash buyers. Rick, why am I chasing down cash buyers? I was told if I have a great deal, 1 million people will show up to buy it. There's some truth to that, but you're in a different market today. You got to see, for the last 5 to 7 years, you could buy anything and you would make money. That doesn't exist anymore. There is a lot of deals out there and there's good cash buyers. And you're gonna find out real quick. Make sure you go to freewholesaling.com to learn how to vet our cash buyers. But everybody says they're a cash buyer. If I call 10 cash buyers, I promise you that 7 of them will not be cash buyers because it's a code word. They're gonna be other wholesalers, they're gonna be other JV partners, and it's like a pain in the butt. So go out and get 10 cash buyers, get in their buy box. You're going to spend 3 hours of your time. But why is this important? Because you know the criteria they're going to buy, you know the areas that they're going to buy in, and it's going to help you understand what your customers want. I didn't do this in the beginning when I started, and I gave properties away. I did whatever I had to do to move it. Now, you guys can go anywhere you want. If you want to do virtual wholesaling, we teach you how to do that at freewholesaling.com. I think it's absolutely amazing because you can go anywhere you want. So if you want to go back to maybe the college town you grew up, maybe you grew up in Pennsylvania and now you're in Florida or something like that, you can go to the market. Here's the key, it's what you want to find. You want to find the average median price for homes, and you want to stay well below that, at that or just below it. That's what you want to do. And then you want to look for a population. In a perfect world, you would have a population base of 100,000 people. Now, the minimum is 50K, but if you really want success below the average median price and 100K population, that means you have a ton of cash buyers. You should have absolutely no issues. So that's step one, that's day one. We're gonna move along here because I know we got a lot to get through. Day two, we're gonna do driving for dollars leads. Why? Because it's simple, it's easy, and you guys, it's so easy. Me and my staff don't do it today. It is ingrained in my DNA. I cannot drive a new neighborhood without looking at property. So is it the real estate I love? No, I'm a deal hunter. So wholesaling is all about finding deals. It's the art of finding deals. Actually, once I get something under contract, I get bored with it really quick. I like hunting, it's my favorite part. What's the best way to hunt? Go out and look for houses. What are you looking for? Ugly houses, it's really simple. If I have to tell you what an ugly house is, I'm concerned. But an ugly house is just an ugly house. So if you live in a normal, regular house, just look for ugly houses. Blue tarps, boarded up windows, super high grass, real simple stuff. There's always a story why these houses get behind. It's usually a financial matter, and I want you to understand that. So we want to find them, and the idea is to find at least 100, okay? Now, what you can do is we teach a technique called reverse driving for dollars. Is when you find these houses, you can actually stick a note on the door and says, hey, got a quick question about your house. My name's, it's Rick, and you put a phone number on that. You can even make a stamp on a pad. You can handwrite it. Don't complicate it. Why do we do that? Because I grew up door knocking, and door knocking is challenging now with Ring doorbells. Nobody wants to answer the door. We're just not neighborly. I don't know what happened to society. We got a little bit crazy. So knowing that going up front, is doing the sticky notes is you get a high response of return rates on it. So I want you to do sticky notes, and then basically you can do the sticky notes however you want to do it. The other way is you can skip trace the leads. And when you skip trace the leads, you're just looking up the owner of record. Just go to your property appraiser site. And then if you want, you can get the phone number if you want to call them. So you can do the sticky note, which is called reverse driving for dollars, or you can just call them. Either way, you have to do a technique called skip tracing. If you're broke, you got no money, here's how you can do it. TruePeopleSearch.com. It's not the most fun thing to do because it's very time consuming, but it's free. So if you don't have money, you're gonna have to put in your hustle muscle. If you got some money, you can use services. Go to freewholesaling.com. We show all the ones that you can use. You have to decide which method you're gonna have to do. Now, once you do that, you're gonna find a title company. Rick, how do I find a title company? Really cool, freewholesaling.com, I teach how to do the whole thing. But you're basically going to go into other investor groups in the markets you're in, so either you're locally or virtually, and you're gonna look for investor-friendly title companies. What do I mean by investor-friendly? It means they like working with investors. They can close cash deals quickly. Understand 95% of all title companies are geared towards what? Towards realtors and retail transactions. We bring problem properties that a lot of problems have to be solved, and for that reason, you want to make sure you have a company that actually wants your business. I found this out the hard way. I lost multiple deals because I had a retail realtor title company, and you don't want to deal with it. We deal with tough, brutal problems. And if it's a company that doesn't like to help solve problems and help you with your customers, find one that will work with you. I promise you there's one around. You don't have to do it rawly. I would look for other people that would help you out with it. But the total on day 2 is like a 6 to 7 hour investment. We're gonna pick up the pace here because there's no way I'm gonna get through day 14. Day 3, you're gonna call in code violation list. It's real simple. It's a list that your city or county creates of properties that do not comply. They either have high grass, boarded up windows, really ugly. The neighbors complain on them. A lot of Karens out there, guys, you know what I'm talking about. Or the city drives around and finds these properties. What happens with these properties is If they get a notice and if they don't comply or fix the notice within 30 days, they could actually be summoned to a special magistrate, which puts a lien on the property between $50 and $100 a day, depending on where you live. And these liens add up to big, big dollars and big problems. Why is that? Because if they don't fix the problem, they can get a $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 lien on the property, and that's where we help them out. The other one I want you to go get is your tax delinquency list. Now, this is a list on people that have not paid their property taxes. You're looking for people that the sweet spot is 2 years or more behind. This is a master list usually kept at your county level. Now, you're gonna skip trace both these lists and you're gonna decide how you can attack them. You can do reverse driving for dollars, or that's the sticky note on the dollar, or you can cold call them. Either way works. These are direct ways to go. This is what I'm doing. I'm telling you, if I'm an 18-year-old kid and you put me into this, I am all in on this. By the way, I was talking to my title company and she says, Rick, I finally found someone that's doing real estate younger than when Zach started. The kid's 12 years old. Now his parents had him involved. I think it's absolutely amazing. To me, that's awesome. So hopefully I excite somebody that's young on this live. So where was I on that? So the code violations, your tax delinquent list, you skip trace them. And then you basically, I put on the title company there twice. I mean, guys, that's 3 hours and you can do it from 4 to 7. Now, the key with all these lists, you got to understand, you're going to get some issues with these lists. What do I mean by issues? You're going to get resistance. The only way you overcome a resistance is with persistence. You have to kill people with kindness. It's not a square peg you're trying to ram through a round hole. If you're having resistance and you're being loud and objective, that's not a way to get the list. You got to kind of reapproach. Sometimes you got to pull back. Sometimes you got to send in a male versus a female. You're going to have to use your brain. You will get resistance on these lists. You have to learn how to talk through people and overcome their objections. I teach it all at freewholesaling.com. Okay, let's go on to day 4. Now we're gonna call on that code violation list and we're gonna follow up on all our previous lists. Sometimes, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, these 2 tasks I just gave you on the top could eat up your entire day. So what we try to do is mix up the times on this. Don't worry, this live is recorded so you can refer back to it. Now, you're gonna have to organize your tax delinquency list. This one takes more time to organize than your other lists. Why? Because you don't wanna call on everybody on the tax delinquency list. Anything above your average median price that the taxes are behind like a year or 2 more, a lot of times it's just rich people financing their tax bill. Hell, I do it, guys. I'm just telling you. So you want to get rid of those properties, especially in the $1 million range. They're not going to sell it to you. I've tried and tried and tried over. So I stay at or below the average median price, and I will look for people that are 2 years or behind and make sure it is not a county-owned property. And I prefer to deal with private individuals over like LLCs and incorporated businesses because it's hard to get a hold of these people. So once we do that, then you can decide to attack with the reverse driving for dollars. Now, here's a little key on tax delinquencies. The crazy part is mailing them and calling them is painful. How did that get on there? Okay, because they're avoiding everyone. Here's how you get in connection with them. Reverse driving for dollars, they don't respond real well to cold calling either. So I found reverse driving for dollars on the tax delinquency list specifically, it works really, really well. I'm moving through, guys, as fast as I can. Day 5, we're talking about reverse driving for dollars. Day, again, we're talking about your tax delinquencies. And remember, reverse driving for dollars, you do tax delinquencies, code violations. I like to reverse driving for dollars because it is a more organic way to connect with people. It is a pain in the butt to get in the car and do it, but it works really well. In the old days, we used to use like FedEx packages. Don't do that anymore. You're gonna get me in trouble for it. But I almost had like an 80% response rate on it. I put in a letter with my phone number, it's phenomenal. We stepped it up today to yellow sticky notes because that's what seems to work the best, and it's very cost effective. And then what you have to do is on every one of these days, especially past day 3, is you got to go through follow-ups. The problem is you got to try to catch people. So if you're trying to call somebody in the morning, you can't get a hold of them, put them in your follow-ups the next day and call them after 5 p.m. They're probably at work. And then you have to switch your follow-ups all the time. If you keep trying to call the same person at the same time every day and they don't answer, it means they are not there. Switch up your tactics, use your brain. Do not just be like an automated computer, okay? You're gonna have about 5 hours into day 5 because some of you go through this quickly. I will tell you the reverse driving for dollars is the one that's gonna eat out a tremendous, at least 3/4 of that day right there. Okay, day 6, once again, we're gonna follow up on all our previous list. And I want you to be wide open to this, how you follow up with the list. Listen, you already have their phone number, the address, and the seller's phone number. Get creative. You can use SMS texting. People love text. It's crazy, but they do. You can look under social media profiles. You can hit DMs. Guys, you guys do it all the time. You chase me on Instagram. You hit me on Facebook. You guys are really, really smart. So I appreciate it, but like there's only so much I can handle. This is the best way to contact me, by the way. Okay? Now we're gonna switch to our digital bandit sign campaign. And once again, I teach this in complete detail at freewholesaling.com. It's a little bit more than I can do without tying up this entire feed. But basically, we teach you to go into organic groups only and connect with your natural ability. So I like fishing groups. I like real estate groups. Obviously, I'm not going to try to buy other people's house in a real estate group. But in fishing groups, if I've been posting in there for years and I go, listen, hey, I caught this great fish. Look at this picture. And by the way, I buy people's houses and I just pay cash and make it super simple. If anybody needs help, let me know. And maybe we can do a fishing trip together. Bam, I get deals from that. Do it in your dog groups, your cat groups, your knitting groups, like whatever it is, guys, motorcycles, car groups, everybody loves it. And honestly, you can do the follow-up. The digital campaign takes a little bit of time to set up. We give you the ad copy and everything you need, but you gotta be extremely consistent with it. If you're gonna go in these groups and spam, you're gonna get killed. Don't do it. Day 7. Now we're gonna start cold calling government list. I struggle with this 50 contact because I personally think it's really low. But I would like you to push 75 to 100. But you have to understand, when I use the word contact, it means connecting and talking to someone. So you're gonna have to make 100 to 150 dials to connect with 50. So the word contact doesn't mean phone calls, it means actual connections. Hey, do you wanna sell your house, and connect with them from there. It's gonna take some time with it, but you need to do it. If you need to know what a government list is, go to freewholesaling.com. We're talking about tax delinquencies, code violations, water shutoffs, fire damaged properties, eviction lists, probate list, foreclosures, pre-foreclosures. It goes on and on. Okay, day 8, we're back on our government's list. And by the way, guys, the government's long, it's thick, and it's freaking awesome. We get most of our deals from government list. And I've already kind of gone on what the government lists are. Number 1, it's pretty cool, they're free. Number 2, they are the absolute most motivated leads you're gonna find, because wherever there's smoke, there's usually fire. There's a lot of smoke in a government list. You just got to go and see how many smoke trails you can go before you find a fire. And you'll find a ratio. It depends on what market you're in. I can't give you a blanket for all of them, but I know what they are from my market. Once again, you're going to make 50 contacts, 20 sticky notes, reverse driving for dollars. You're going to have about 4 hours into it. I'm moving along because this is recorded and I want to get to the lives, okay? Now, day 9, you have 100. Put out 100 sticky notes. 100 sticky notes works for every lead except the following. You ready? They don't work for probates because the person's deceased and you're not going to get very far on that. And on the eviction list, you don't want to do the eviction list because typically there's a tenant in there that's pissed off and they're just going to throw your note away. Other than that, all lists are wide open for reverse driving for dollars for sticky notes. Let me be very clear on that. Outside of probates and evictions, reverse driving for dollars is all lists are fair game on it. And if you can do it, is absolutely amazing because you get a high response rate. Are you gonna have to spend a lot of energy? Is it hot outside right now? Yeah, but like you just have to deal with it. That's what you need to do. And you're gonna have about 3 to 4 hours in it. Moving on to day 10, we're almost there, guys. Another 100 sticky notes outside those 2 lists I talk about, which are probates and evictions. And you're gonna start meeting with sellers and sending offers. When I say sending offers, sometimes you're physically dropping them off. Sometimes you have to email them. Sometimes you have to mail them, like whatever you have to do. Guys, sending an offer on someone that's even slightly interested in selling their property invokes an emotion. Like sometimes when you put it in writing, people see you're serious and they'll take you seriously. And sometimes the husband says no, but the wife sees the contract. She goes, are you crazy? We need to get this property sold. It's a piece of junk. And I've had that happen all the time. On average, if you work on your leads, your follow-ups, if you will send offers, you will get a 10% engagement rate, which means they go, okay, let's talk about it. They try to finagle it, but it's better than 0 conversation. And if you can get 1 out of 10 to connect with you, you will find a deal in it. But you have to write an offer because some people in their mind, they go, hey, Rick's not serious unless he puts it in writing. That's why our offer sheet That's at freewholesaling.com. It's simple. It's just 2 pages, guys. It's not complicated. It takes 2 seconds to fill out. And you can actually fill it out in a mail merge. And we still, to this date, depending on how many leads you have, we used to send out 50 to 100 offers a week because that's how many people we meet with. And we mail merge it. Most of you don't need to do it. You can fill them out with hand. Don't complicate your life. Once you get to that point, remember this message I sent you. Send offers and you'll get a 10% engagement rate. So a lot of times you'll get leads that were dead. Sometimes you just send an offer with an expiration on it, and that's the key. They'll suddenly want to talk to you. And typically it's the other person in the family, husband, wife, or someone like that. She goes, I didn't know you got an offer. Let's talk about it. A lot of times we're selling properties where people got big egos, and there's a nice, pretty little lady behind the scenes saying, honey, you got to get this thing sold now. And sometimes you can engage the other person to do it. Day 11, now we're going hard on cold calling. You have got to go all in on this part. And when I say 5 hours of cold calling, I mean 5 hours. If you get 100 connects or 20 connects, I don't care. It's the mentality of getting through the cold calls. So many of you would tell me, listen, Rick, I tried 5 and it was the most horrifying thing in my life. Listen, you're gonna have to suck it up. You just have to get in and get it done. You are not gonna get hurt. Which is more painful, to live in your current life now, being broke and having no opportunity at your current employer, or having these painful people and contact them and go, every person I contact, I'm that much closer to my financial freedom. Remember, you don't have to do this. You're doing it because you want to make a change in your life. So if you can put in 5 hours instead of me putting 500 calls on here, I'm impressed. Take a break in between. But if you can do this once or twice, it's the equivalent of when you used to cram for an exam in school. It's the same thing. You pull an all-nighter to try to get a project done. I want to see if you can do it. If you can do it, I know you're meant for this business. If you can't, then so be it. Remember, if you're going to use your old brain to operate in the new wholesaling matrix, you will never make it. That brain you had, even though it's smart and you did great on grades, you show up to school, it doesn't work in wholesaling. Wholesaling is all about action and following a disciplined, consistent plan. That's the only difference between me and you, and a lot of it's like, dude, you guys don't even want my SAT scores. It's like an embarrassment. Every teacher told me I would never get a good job, and they were dead right, okay? So you're gonna do the driving for dollar leads again, and then prepare before the skip tracing. By this time, you figured out how to do skip tracing, and even though if you're doing it manually through TruePeopleSource.com, don't worry. Once you get a few deals on your belt, you can use a paid-for service. It's going to cost anywhere from 10 to 13 cents per lead. I know it's a little bit higher or lower what you do, but like do the math. So if you skip traced 100 leads, it costs you what? You can do the math. 100 what's that? 10 or 12 bucks. So it's not that big of a deal. When you start doing thousands, then you got to really pay attention. But guys, we're talking about smaller quantities of leads, and it's not the end of the world to pay for those. So sometimes you're going to have to skip your Starbucks, your Netflix, and that crazy cable bill you guys pay. Get rid of cable, guys. The worst thing for you. Day 12, driving for dollars, government lists, driving for dollar leads, prepare for the night. You kind of get the how this goes. It gets repetitive because this is the part of wholesaling nobody will tell you. There's a lot of repetition. It's boring, but who can do this and be consistent and extremely disciplined, they reap all the benefits of wholesaling. Most people don't want to do this. They try it once or twice to go, my God, like I could just sit on my couch and chill and watch Netflix. You can, but you're going to be broke at the end of the day. So why don't you do this? And then at night, if you want to chill and watch a little bit of Netflix, or how about this? Pick up a book and read it, or take a self-help program to help your mind get free of what's been holding you up to this point. Day 13. We are going to talk to sellers at this point. We're going to talk to our head turns blue to sellers. And don't worry, I got you covered at freewholesaling.com. I'm going to teach you exactly how to talk to sellers, give you the exact script to say to them, and teach you how to have conversations instead of sticking to these scripts. A script will get you started. I will teach you how to qualify people with a simple acronym. We teach you at freewholesaling.com called MCTP. It's really simple, and you can't screw it up because you're just memorizing the first letter. So if you're not smart like me, it's perfect for you. Remember, the smartest person in wholesaling never makes the most money. It's not about smarts. It's about people who take action, extremely consistent and disciplined. And finally, day 14, once again, we are going to talk to sellers. We're going to repeat our top performing list. By this time, you're going to find a confidence level on the list that you think are working the most for you. I like probates. I love probates because they're the highest profit and they're easy to do. In my opinion, you can work 2 full-time jobs and do probates in your sleep. They're not easy. They're easy. There's not a ton of leads. But when you get them, they're absolute dynamite. About 3 times your average wholesale deal comes from probates. But you're going to find niches just like this. Some of you are going to find the eviction list, the pre-foreclosure list, whatever it is you have to do. Now, if you're going to do this on a full-time schedule, look at this. I don't need to repeat this. This is recorded. You can come back and refer to it. 7 to 9 is your marketing skip tracing. Why? Because you can't really talk to sellers at this point. From 10 to 2, that is prime time to talk to people. A lot of sellers at work, cash buyers are the best time to talk to early part of the day. Why? Because that's what they do. They want the phone calls. And 2 to 7, we're talking about cold calling, reverse driving for dollars. And 7 to 11 is when you start to do your work at night. Now, I did not put in Netflix. I did not put in cozy up the couch and all that stuff. You got to suck it up and get to work. If you do this right, you'll have all the time in the world to watch Netflix and cozy up down the road. What's down the road? At least 1 year, optimally 2. Why? It's the truth, guys. So many people are snowing you on how this business works. Hard work is rewarded in wholesaling. Complaining, you get 0 credit for complaining. Tell the dad side coming out at me, right? Okay, now if I do a part-time schedule, guys, keep in mind, I started out wholesaling working a full-time 60-hour-a-week job. So I know this schedule intimately. And a lot of this is going to depend on your work schedule. I don't want you to get fired, getting caught getting on the work, but you guys have a lot of flexibility with cell phones and stuff at work. You take advantage of your lunch breaks. You take advantage if you get to travel in a car, which is phenomenal for wholesaling, my God. But 7 to 9 a.m., you do your marketing if you have that possibility. And 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is your job. So those are the 8 hours you're on. Listen, the reality is you guys are only working about 2 hours. I used to have a bunch of employees at a large company. I know how it works. 5 to 7, you are a cold calling demon. Cold calling maniac, we'll call it that. You can do driving for dollars. You can do marketing. You can do driving for dollars at night. I didn't. It's not easy, but you can't see as well, but it's worth a shot. And 7-Eleven, you're doing all the back end. You're going to freewholesaling.com. You're studying all the modules. I mean, we bury you in that. I got over 1,500 videos at flipwithrick.com on our YouTube site. It's endless. Go to Rick In Videos, and this is where you do all your planning and your scheming so you can get out of this.